morning and welcome to Saturday of Holy Week. I really hope you enjoyed making our hot cross buns yesterday. It was a very long process, but I hope you found it as rewarding as I did, and particularly being able to eat those nice warm hot cross buns when they came out of the oven at the end. Now today is Holy Saturday, so it's a really quiet day. There's nothing going on today because it's the day in between Jesus dying and then coming back to life again. So for us, it's a day of sort of quiet anticipation that we know that Easter Sunday happens, and so we can wait and look forward to it. But for the disciples, it was a day of despair. As far as they knew, Jesus had died, and that was the end of the story. They didn't know what to do with themselves. They were scared of the soldiers that the same thing would happen to them. So they weren't very happy, not surprisingly. So today is a day where we can remember their feelings of despair and kind of what if he hadn't have happened, he hadn't have come back to life, and that's what we remember today. But we know that it's a day when marvellous things were about to happen, and it's unseen at the moment, but tomorrow it will all become clear, and the world is about to be turned upside down. Everything we know is about to change. So what better sort of cake to make today than an upside down cake? This is one that is really, I love making them. I've not made one for a while, but you start by making the top of the cake first, and then build your way up. So you won't be able to see what's happening on what will be the top of your cake until you come to the end and turn it upside down. So it's a really good one for us to be making today. Now again, I've got all my ingredients ready. You'll have seen the recipe in the ingredient list at the start of the video, so just kind of follow as you go along. The tin that I'm using for this is quite a deep tin. It doesn't need to be this deep, but I'm using it because it has got a loose bottom, so that's going to make it a bit easier at the end to be able to take the cake out, because I'm not using any baking paper or anything for this one, because you need the top to be baking underneath. Right, so let's get started. My ingredients are ready, so I'll just grab them as we go along. Now the first thing we're going to be doing is making the glaze and the decoration, which is going to go, as I said, on the bottom of the tin. Now to do this, we're going to take 50 grams of butter. I'm using margarine today because it's a bit softer, so it's going to be easier. And 50 grams of light brown sugar. Take those into a little bowl, and I'm just going to start off by mixing those together into a cream. Now this is going to be the glaze at the top, so normally you'd melt the butter and the sugar together, but because we're going to be putting this in the oven, that's going to do the melting for us, so we just need to mix them together to get them ready. So there's potentially a little bit of a small bowl to be doing this in, so bear with me a moment while I get those in. This is why I'm using the margarine. Like I said, it's nice and soft, so it's easier to get my sugar mixed in with it. We're getting there now, just making sure that all of that sugar is just folded in or smushed into the butter to make ourselves a nice little sugary buttery paste there. So because it's brown sugar, it's going to give it a nice colour to it at the end, to make it look a bit caramelly. Where if you don't have any brown sugar, you could just use normal sugar for this, that would be fine. So there we go, so you can see very quickly a nice paste. And then we're going to be spreading that paste over the bottom of our cake tin and a little bit up the sides. Use a spatula to do that, just because it's going to make it a little bit easier with the soft part of the spatula. I think the spoon will make it a little bit tricky. So there we go. So you can see, just spreading that around, making sure it covers all the bottom. So this is kind of why we don't need to grease the tin, because the butter in the glazed bit is going to do the greasing for us. There we go. A little bit more. Therapeutic actually, getting it into this paste covering all the bottom, making sure it goes right round to the edges of the tin, because that's where things are likely to stick. But nice and even as much as you can all the way round. And then we're going to be using this little bit just to go up the side of the cake again to stop it sticking. depending on how wide your cake tin is, will affect how far up the cake is actually going to go up the tin. You'll see when I make it that it's not going to be an enormous mixture because we're only using 100 grams of flour for it. But if you've got a deep narrow tin, it will go up a lot further, and if you have a shallower, wider tin, obviously it's going to affect how far up the side you need to go. I don't know how far it is, so I'm making sure I've done it quite generously here. There we go, and then just making sure it's going right into those corners. It's particularly at the bottom and nice and even over the surface of the bottom there. It does feel a bit strange going straight onto the bottom of the tin, but all will become clear later on when we put this in the oven. There we are. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is getting our pineapple. So ideally you want to be using rings for this. I thought I had a tin of pineapple rings in the cupboard, and it turns out I didn't. So I'm stuck using pineapple chunks here, but I'm going to try and recreate the shape of a ring inside my tin. Now I've already drained them. I've kept the juice to one side because I'm going to need that a little bit later. So I'm going to be taking my pineapple chunks and then just arranging them in the bottom of my tin into rings. I mean, technically you could, with chunks, make it into any pattern that you wanted, but I quite like the rings because I'm going to be putting a cherry in the middle as well. So if you have the ring, there's space for a cherry in the middle. If you do different shapes, which would be fine, you could very easily put cherry somewhere else. So this will take me a little bit longer than you because of the chunks. So I'm going to speed it up to I put these in, and then I'll meet you back again in a couple of minutes. Okay, so I've managed to get 4 little rings of my pineapple in the bottom of the tin. When you're putting your actual rings in, try and get as many in and as close together as you can, because you don't want to leave too much space for the cake to try and cover up the outside. So I've got 4 little rings in there, and then the last thing we're going to do is grab some glacé cherries. These are hard ones already, and put one in the middle of each flower. There we go. I'm going to put one in the middle of the cake as well because I don't have a pineapple ring in the middle because of the width of my tin. So I might actually, you can use these just to decorate your cake in general. So bear in mind that what you put on the bottom here is going to be on the top of the cake. So you want it to be as tidy as you can get it. But if you wanted to make any clever shapes or patterns, now is the time to do it. Okay, so that is my tin ready. So we'll put that aside for a moment while we make the actual cake to go in the top. So I've got my mixing bowl ready here. So we're going to start off by mixing together 100 grams of margarine or butter. If you've got butter, again a bit softer because you're going to need it to be able to stir things in again, with 100 grams of caster sugar. So again, I've got mine ready here. And 100 grams of self-raising flour, which I haven't sieved yet, so I'm going to sieve that into the bowl. Again, sieving is going to help to get rid of the lumps, so definitely worthwhile taking the time to do it. It gives it a kind of lighter, airier, sponge feeling. Now this is there's not much in this cake, so it's going to be an all-in-one sort of batter. So we're going to put everything in the bowl and then stir it together at the end. So self-raising flour, we're going to put 100 grams, a teaspoon of baking powder. That's going to pop in there. Make sure you spread that out a bit. Then a teaspoon of vanilla. There we go. I'm just going to finish up my vanilla because there's very little more in there. So alongside that, we're going to need 2 eggs. And 1. 2, try not to get any shell in. And then 2 tablespoons of the syrup or the juice from the pineapple that we had earlier. There we go. Right, so that is going to mix together to form a nice dough. So because my butter is so soft, that should do the trick. If you had harder butter, this would be a lot more difficult to get it all in together. So the key of this is going to be making sure you beat it quite thoroughly so it's not lumpy, because otherwise the butter is going to leave lumps, and then that's going to affect your cake mix, which nobody wants. That's got a lovely sweet smell coming out of it now because of that vanilla essence. Now it's quite a wet mixture, so it's fairly easy to stir, but if you have an electric mixer, you might want to do this with that, just to try and make sure that you get those final lumps of butter out. You can do it by hand, it just takes a little bit more stirring. So while I was making this mixture, the oven was preheating to 180 degrees, which is gas mark 4, if you have a gas mark type oven. So that should be ready for when my cake is made. So you can see now we've got a nice smooth batter there. So I need to get my cake mix back, and we're going to pour the mixture evenly over those pineapple and the cherries, making sure it goes and fills in all the way at the edge into the gaps. And in a moment, once I've got all the batter out, we can smooth it over to make sure the top is lovely and smooth. But now you'll find that we can't see those pineapples anymore. It just looks like a normal cake. Pineapples are all covered, just like Jesus' body was covered in the tomb by the big stone and by the linen wrappings. You couldn't see what was going on underneath, and it wasn't what people expected. So this may look like a normal cake. People might expect you to cut into it and have a normal cake, but it's not what they expect. Much like Jesus' resurrection, there is something greater hidden underneath. So it's going to make sure that that cake mix is covering up all the pineapple, going right to the edges of the tin, and it's nice and smooth. So you'll have some kind of gaps in the edge of the cake in between the pineapple. So to make sure it covers in all of those, because you want it to be nice and flat when you take it out. So give that a little bit of a tap to make sure that it's gone all the way underneath. Make sure the surface is smooth. And then we're going to pop it into the oven. So again, it's on 180, and that's going to go in for 35 minutes roughly. So I'm going to put that in the oven now, and I'll see you again in just over half an hour. Okay, so it's been 35 minutes. The baby's woken up, and I've just got my cake out of the oven. So the last thing that I'm going to need to do is very carefully turn it onto a plate. Now I want to do this before it cools down, because you want to see what's in the bottom. Okay, alright, so I'm going to be very careful around the baby. I've got my plate ready, I've got my oven gloves ready. I'm going to tip it very carefully upside down. As you can see, the loose bottom has helped to push it down. Yeah. So that's there, and then when I peel off the bottom, we can see that beautiful pattern with the cherries and the pineapple. As you can see, it's still very hot, so I might have to wait for it to cool down a little bit. But now that we've cooked it and turned it over, you can see those beautiful colours from the pineapple and the cherries that were hidden and are now bursting back into the world from underneath, much like Jesus when he burst back on Easter Day with all of his love and goodness. And so our sweet fruit can remind us of, which was hidden, can remind us of Jesus's coming back to life again on Easter Day, and the world being turned upside down and made right again. So this is going to be really nice and warm, maybe not boiling hot, but warm. You can have it with ice cream. It's going to be very sweet. So yeah, if you've got a sweet tooth, have it with some ice cream or some custard, or you can wait to have it cold as a cake. So there is my beautiful pineapple upside down cake. And we will see you again for our for our last bake tomorrow on Easter Sunday, which is a really nice, quick and easy one. So we'll see you then. Bye.